I can't talk. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Political Goat. I'm your host, Felix, Uncle Felix. And this is going to be my first live broadcast, so bear with me. I'm learning the ropes here. So I'm sure there's going to be some technical difficulties along the way. But again, thank you for joining me. We're going to have an interesting show today. Today, we're going to cover a couple of different topics, so we're going to try to get to a couple of different topics. I definitely want to talk about the Jacob Blake shooting. And I also want to talk about the Breonna Taylor shooting. But before all that, I'd like to thank SFBNRI for the opportunity to give me this platform and to help broaden my platform. And I appreciate them for helping me with that. And with that being said, we're going to cut to a commercial for them. I'll be right back. And welcome back. And as I said, we're gonna go over the Jacob Blake shooting today. And with me today, as my desk, as my guest, I have Mr. Wesley Pennington. For those of you that don't know, Wesley is a former sergeant of the 82nd Airborne Division. He's the first African American police officer in West Warwick. He is a current Rhode Island State Trooper, and he's also an ordained pastor. And to top it all off, he's also the head football coach at North Smithfield High School. So he brings a very unique perspective to all this. And without further ado, I'm going to bring him on. One moment. Hello, Wes. How's it going?
Hey, what's happening, Uncle Felix?
Hey, congratulations again on that Super Bowl championship, undefeated season, first ever at North Smithfield High School. And if I'm correct, you guys went undefeated, won the Super Bowl. You picked up the Coach of the Year in the division as well as the state, right?
Yeah.
Nice. Congratulations.
Totally blessed year for us. Thank you.
Yes, and oh, by the way, you brought a baby into the world.
If I wasn't busy enough, right?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know where you find the time. Do you drink those sakis? Because you are like the most interesting man in the world, I think. But anyway, so let's jump right into it. I wanted to talk about the Jacob Blake shooting, and for obvious reasons, it's all over the news. It's part of the reason why we're seeing a lot of the chaos going around throughout the country, and as I was telling you before, uh, the thing that upsets me the most about this case, obviously somebody got shot. I think he's still listed as paralyzed, which is unfortunate. But to me, it just seems like the media uh, it seems like, oh, it's almost like a slam dunk. Like that they're saying it's open shut case because he was shot in the back. I don't feel that way. I'm not saying the cops were justified, but I'm not saying they weren't justified. I wish more people would just, you know, wait for the facts to come out and then make their decisions. And that's why I wanted to go over this case with it because again, there's a lot of shades of gray. It's unlike the the George Floyd case, where I think that's a slam dunk in in every way you look at it. But this, in my opinion, is not. And I want to get your take on it because I know you have obviously a unique perspective. Um, and so, with that being said, I wanted to go over the facts of the case, and the facts being that I know they were called to the scene. According to the 911 call, they were called because a woman called saying that Jacob Blake would not return a set of keys, and that's why they were called, which is already changes the original story because I know the original story was that he was there to break up a fight. Um, but when they released the 911 call, they found out that that wasn't the case, and that's the other thing part about jumping the gun. We should always wait for the official report to come out versus what people are saying or witnesses are saying. But anyway, the 911 call revealed that the cops were called because of he was not returning a set of keys. And then from the video that we see and where it gets picked up from, it looks like they had a scuffle behind the car, and then somehow he gets away from there and he starts walking uh, away from the officers. And then you do see an officer has a gun drawn on him as he's walking away. He turns in front of the car, comes, around the car. He opens the driver's side door and he reaches inside the car, or he goes to sit in the car. And then that's when the officer fires. Um, I mean, I think that's pretty much everything that's happened there. Now, and the reason I wanted to bring you on, like, can you break down that scenario and how you would have handled it? I know they found a knife in the car. It's uncertain if he had the knife beforehand, and then maybe he dropped it in the car, or he was reaching for the knife in the car.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
what are your thoughts on that, anyway?
One of the things that you try not to do in situations like this is kind of Monday morning quarterback it, right? But here we are after
Hmm.
the event, and
Yeah.
we're trying to
Yeah.
understand what happened here. When I heard 911 call was that he had taken someone's keys. It was basically a domestic, but um, we don't know the story behind that. Why was
Hmm.
he taking the keys? What was going on with that? But anyway,
Hmm.
that's what brought the police on scene.
Hmm.
And I did see a couple different angles of it. I saw the angle where it looked like they were kind of wrestling at the back passenger side of the vehicle,
Yeah.
where he gets up and he kind of walks away, and the officer is kind of following him with his gun drawn. Okay,
Hmm.
right away, just me. Two things I see that could be a potential problem is one, he's walking away. So even if he has a knife on him, there was no gun found on the scene or in the
No.
car, so there's no gun there. So even if he has a knife on him, he's walking away,
Hmm.
which says okay, there's a de-escalation of force that happens there.
Hmm.
Um, Two is that he's not pointing it at him. He's not directing anything at him. He's not threatening him in any way. Now, the other thing that the officer has to take into consideration is if he feels that Mr. Blake was gonna injure or hurt someone else in the
Hmm.
vicinity. And from looking at the video, it didn't look like he was walking towards anyone to attack anyone, or that anyone was in his immediate area to
Hmm.
cause them injury or harm,
Hmm.
which would cause him to then have to shoot. So, like I said, without knowing the whole story and just kind of looking at what we see, I see some problems. Um,
Hmm.
I don't, I hesitate to make a decision on whether it was good or bad. Um, one, me personally, I have kind of several different outlooks on it. Being African American and I've seen everything that's going on, I kind of have feelings in that direction.
Hmm.
But I also, as a police officer, as a round state trooper, kind of just looking at it from an objective point of view, and saying, what, me personally, if it were me, um, I wouldn't have. I would have put my gun in my holster for whatever reason. He pulled it out. I don't know why he did. If he saw a gun, if I don't know if he thought he was in trouble. If the guy, when they were wrestling, was trying to take his gun and it came out of the holster. I don't know why he had it out, but I would have holstered it back. I would have put it back in the holster, and I probably would have tried to tackle him or apprehend him in some way in that form. From what
Hmm.
from what I was seeing, I noticed there was three officers because there was two right there on the scene right away with him and another person. And then if you look at the other angle where someone caught it on the driver's side of the door, there was
Hmm.
another officer. I don't know if they came up late, but they came up kind of after the shooting happened. So I think I would have just tried to apprehend him before he got into the car, if that were
Yeah.
the case. And it might have been a scrub on the ground.
Yeah, 'cause
But
like you said,
at some point, you have
there's
to put
two
your
other
gun
officers.
away.
Yeah, there's two other officers there. So even if he was holding something, and if you came from behind him, like with a bear hug or something, where his arms would be trapped in, then you could wait for the cavalry to come in and help you if need be. So yeah, I definitely that's definitely something to be brought up. I know there's some things out there that saying that he might have had the knife on him as he was walking away. Um, would that stop you at all, maybe from
But
tackling him?
again, he's not pointing it at the officer. He's walking
Hmm.
away. He's got his back to him.
Hmm.
So again, there's a de-escalation of force that's happening. So you have an
Hmm.
opportunity, like you said, run up behind him, bear hug him. He
Hmm.
can't do anything there. You have the other person with you. If he were to grab the knife and point in your direction or try to stab you with it, you have the other officer there that can then shoot or at
Hmm.
least help you in the fight. So I mean, like I said, I can only speak from my perspective. I,
Yeah.
I would have holstered my gun and I would have came at it from a different direction. Because here's the other problem. The other problem is now once he goes to get in his car, you only have one hand, right, that you're trying to stop him from getting in the vehicle with. So either you're gonna shoot him or you're gonna let him go at that point,
Hmm.
right? And now it's a situation where you can't let him go.
Hmm.
So now the officer's caught in the middle. you know
Hmm.
um and maybe when he opens the door, maybe the knife's right there. Maybe we can't see what the officer sees,
Yeah.
which
Maybe
causes him
maybe
to
he sees
fire.
maybe he sees the handle of the knife, mistakes it for a gun. I don't know. I mean, this is all
Yeah, I mean,
speculation,
we
of
don't
course.
yeah, we don't know what he sees that causes
Hmm.
him to shoot. um
Hmm. But
but
we do know there
it's
was no gun at the
right,
right at the scene. There was no
right,
gun at all. Now,
right. I mean, and here's the
the
thing,
other
right?
thing.
Worst
Yep.
comes to worst, right? Worst comes to worst, what happens? He gets in the car, he drives away, and you
Hmm.
grab him later. It's not like they don't know who he
Hmm.
is, you know.
True.
So I mean, it's kind of a drastic measure to take in that situation, in my opinion. In my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah. And like you said, it's Monday morning quarterback. So all we have is our opinions, right?
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
that's and that's what, like I said, that's what upsets me about it is that it's really not a slam dunk. There's enough shades of gray where you got to wait for more information. I mean, there could be more information that comes out that makes me say, hey, hey, he shouldn't have shot him, or makes me say, hey, he should have shot him. The point is, I think cooler heads need to prevail, and patience would be a great thing. But unfortunately, we live in a nation of instant
And
gratification. You know what I mean? We want it
too,
now.
yeah, and too, there's degrees, I think, of how severe this is. I know it sounds weird. He was shot, and that's pretty severe, but I think there's degrees. So if he's shooting him because he's afraid he's going to get away, that's pretty bad.
Hmm.
If he shot him because he saw the knife there and he was afraid he was going for the knife,
Hmm.
then that's a different level. Um, you know,
Yeah,
so so
and
there's
the
different
other
levels of it too.
yeah, and the other thing is too. I guess there was two children in the car, and according now, this guy's criminal record was released. I guess he uh, he raped a 14-year-old, and I guess some other domestic violence stuff. Uh, was the officer maybe scared of him leaving with those kids? You know what I mean? In the state of mind that he thought he was in. You know what I mean? And again, this is all just speculation. We don't know. Um,
Yeah.
but that that
Yeah. I
that
mean,
that could come into play.
that is all speculation. But I mean, the other thing is, so he probably, if he did know his record when he got there, if he did know his
Yeah,
history.
and that's what I wanted to ask you. Like when you get pulled up or called into a scene, and again, we don't know how long they were there for because the recording only picks up like a little bit after right when the scuffle ends. So we don't. Did they get this guy's name? Did they run his history? What did they know? What did they know about him? Does that play a factor? Like you personally, if you're coming up on a scene and you know, suspect X has done this already. Does that what role does that play in the way you behave?
Well, it plays a huge role.
Hmm.
Because I mean, if he's known to be violent, if he's known to carry guns, you know what I mean. That's gonna put you on a higher level of
Hmm.
alertness.
Makes sense.
If he's been arrested before for domestic, or like you said, he was a sexual assault, something to that
Hmm.
effect. Maybe the level in which I go in isn't as high. Um, so it's hard to say if they knew that going in, and if they didn't know what was going on. But the funny thing is here's the thing. So you're responding to a call, and when you're responding to a call, you you have you have to kind of figure out whether or not how you're gonna deal with this thing, right? And once you get there, you have to analyze, and you can't go based on. It's hard to go based on what's happened in the past. You have to kind of deal with what's going on right there,
Hmm.
and you have to react to the way things are kind of happening around you.
Hmm.
You know, so my thing is, I think I would have went a different way with it.
Hmm.
But here's the thing, right? So I teach implicit bias for the state police, and I teach it for other police departments, and we our perception, right, can be different based on the different prejudices we have, the different biases we have that are deep seated within us, right? Unconscious
Hmm.
bias, right? So we can see something and perceive it as something other than what it is based on our prejudice, based on what we believe is that based on things that we have inside of us, right? So what we see on video could actually be something totally. It could have been something totally different happening there on that scene that we're not aware of.
Hmm.
So we have to. That's why I go back to what you said. We have to kind of sit back and look at it, objectively, and wait for all the information to come out,
Yes.
and then say,
And
okay, here's what it is.
and the other thing, and we should already be there, and I'm surprised we're not. And I'm hoping the good that comes out of this. I think there's got to be mandatory body cams, and I know obviously the price is the issue, but at this point, where we're seeing what's going around the country, I mean, the local the local municipality should at least be able to get like state grants or even federal grants for these for the body cams. 'Cause I think they protect everybody. They protect the officers when he's unjustly accused. They protect the victim if he is in fact a victim. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it helps everybody.
yeah. I don't have an opinion on that either way. Um,
No.
yeah, I mean, if I had it, I wouldn't worry if I had it on me, because
Hmm.
I'm gonna do things the right way, I hope, and it'll all be shown out on the video. I guess those that maybe don't do things the
Well,
correct way might
and,
have an issue with it.
and those are the guys we're trying to weed out, though. You know what I mean? So
Right, right, right. I do know, though. I mean, since you brought up body
yeah.
cams, it is kind of strange that uh the Breonna Taylor shooting,
Hmm.
the Louisville Police Department uh,
Hmm.
has body cams, but unfortunately, no body cam video footage was recorded.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It shouldn't be, hey, I'm turning it on, now versus
Yeah,
it should be mandatory. If it's not on,
that makes it shady. Yeah,
yeah, if it's not on, there should be a whole reason of why it's not on. It better be a damn good reason of why it's not on. So I
right,
understand that.
right.
But that's a good segue into the next topic of Breonna Taylor and the whole thing with the no knock warrant warrants. Now, in that case, from what I understand, the information was good. The police officers did go to the correct address. Unfortunately for Breonna Taylor, uh, she was in a relationship with a guy who doesn't seem like that great of a guy because they were after him. Um, so, from what I understand, the police kicked in the door, and that woke Brianna and her boyfriend up, and the boyfriend started firing his weapon through his door. Um, and I guess his defense is going to be that he didn't know who was breaking in the house, which, in all honesty, that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You don't know who's
yeah.
coming in
So
at that time, so he's got to defend himself.
yeah, so looking at all of the the feedback, there's a lot of feedback on this. And looking at the feedback, it kind of there's some things that stand true. Okay, there's some things that are common that people are saying and that's being written that's the same. And one of the things that's the same is that the boyfriend that was with her wasn't the guy they were looking for.
Hmm.
And matter of fact, he hasn't even haven't never been arrested for drugs or anything like that. And his story is that they were in there watching a movie together, but they were the movie was more watching them than they were watching the movie.
Yeah.
And they hear banging on the door, and she yells out loudly, "Who is it?" And and then they hear banging again, and then she yells out again, "Who is it?" And he yells out, "Who is it?" Right? And then they get out of bed and they start walking to the door when the door gets kicked in, and he
Hmm.
fires around, striking one of the officers in the leg, I believe. They start firing back, hitting Brianna. That's why she ends up dying right there in the hallway of her apartment because they were
Hmm.
on their way to the door when it got kicked in. Um, you know, they were issuing out. They were doing several warrants at once. They
Hmm.
had, I think, I don't know the exact amount. I think there was five or 7 to 5 warrants that they were executing, pretty much all at the same time.
Hmm.
They were looking for a guy that she associated with in the past, but she was no longer with that person.
Hmm.
And they actually caught that person. Now the how can I say this? The information that doesn't make sense is there's some information that says that the person they were looking for that they said was her boyfriend, they caught that guy before the no knock warrant was initiated for Brianna. That's one story, and they're saying that might be true. And then there's another saying that they were grabbing him, arresting him at the same time that this no knock
Yeah,
warrant was happening.
there's been a lot of conflicting things that have been coming out for this, so it'd be nice to get the real story.
Yeah, but either
Yeah.
way, they knew that this guy wasn't there. They
Really.
knew that he wasn't there. So
Hmm.
they knew that they thought she would be there, probably sleeping or whatever, and they wanted to go in because they thought that maybe he was stashing stuff there
Hmm.
because someone had said they had purchased something from this person at that location.
Yeah.
So they wanted to do the no knock to get in to get evidence that they might need.
Hmm.
And they assumed she would be there alone. Um, but unfortunately, she wasn't. And part of my thing was, okay, so as soon as they came in, he shoots one round.
Hmm.
That automatically triggers the police to return fire,
Hmm.
right? I mean, I would return fire if
Yeah.
someone fired at me. I would return fire. So that kind of puts this whole thing into like a weird area. You
Hmm.
know, first of all, to get a no knock warrant, you have to go to a judge. A judge has to sign that, and there's a high standard in order to get that warrant. Um,
Hmm.
and they have to have a solid case as to why they want to enter someone's property, the premises of someone's property, without announcing themselves, right? And the
Yeah.
judge has to read that, believe it, and see that everything is in order before they actually sign the warrant. So they must have had a lot of good information in order for the judge to sign it.
Yeah. You-
Um, unfortunately, it unfortunately it went bad. I mean, they were at the right house. I've heard reports that says that they went to the wrong house, that it wasn't her
Mhm.
house that they were supposed to be, but her house was on the warrant as one of the 5 warrants as a location they were
Yeah.
gonna go to. So it's just a bad thing. It's just a bad thing that happened. It's unfortunate. It's really
Yeah.
unfortunate. If he had not fired the round, I would like to believe and think that maybe things wouldn't have happened the way they happened.
Yeah. Again, it's all speculation. We don't.
Yeah, but
You
again,
know what I
hey,
mean?
I'm sitting in
It's.
my house. If I'm sitting in my house
Yeah.
and someone's banging on my door, and then I'm going to the door and the door gets kicked in, guess what? They might get a couple rounds going their way. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Just a couple.
so, yeah, they might get a couple.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's just because you don't
I,
know who that is.
no.
It
I
could be
know. I
someone
know.
coming in.
No.
You know,
No.
and she did mess around with
No.
a bad guy, so it could have been that guy and his buddies coming in to hurt them. Who knows?
Exactly. Exactly. Because I know if I'm saying who is and there's no reply, the last you would expect the cops to say this is the police, and then come in. But obviously in a no knock warrant situation, they're not going to do that.
But here's the
Like you
thing.
said. Yep.
Here's the thing. If I'm knocking, I'm gonna announce. If it's a no knock warrant, I don't have to knock. I'm just gonna
Oh.
kick the door in and go
Yep.
in,
Yep.
right? If I'm knocking, I'm gonna announce.
Yep.
It makes no sense to knock, not announce,
True.
and then kick the door in.
Yep. So he's saying that they were knocking.
He's saying that he heard banging. They heard the banging. They both
So
two
the
separate
bang.
times
So the banging could either be knocking or them kicking the door
trying
down.
to kick it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could have
Yeah.
been them trying to kick it in at that time.
Yeah.
And they're saying, who is it? Who is it? And I don't know if the officers maybe didn't want to say we're police. They might, start, getting rid of
Get
evidence.
rid of evidence, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know the reason why they didn't announce who they were.
Mm-hmm.
But it resulted in a very bad outcome. And it just goes to uh the storyline that we're seeing here, and if I could just take off my state police hat, for a second, it just goes to the story that we're seeing, that it's African Americans that are getting shot.
Mm-hmm.
I would I would feel probably a little bit differently about it if I saw a mixture. There's
Well,
some,
here's
you know,
here's
I,
the here's the thing on from what I've seen or from the data that I read. Uh, in my opinion, it's the media that is only highlighting the African Americans being shot, because white people are being shot. African Americans are being shot at a higher rate. But there's still, I think, in the last numbers I seen were like 2019. I think 15. No, it was like 113 black men were shot dead, and there was like 221 white men. But obviously, when you go percentage wise to the population, it is disproportionate. But then when you go in deeper to that number of who is more likely to encounter the cops and committing the crimes, it kind of. But my whole point is that I think we're being fed this narrative of uh, that black guys are being hunted in the streets, and don't I don't see that as the case. I mean, obviously,
well, well,
one death is one
yeah,
too many.
well,
Yep.
let me counter that argument, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
what if now, if there's other video out there, right,
Mm-hmm.
of other white guys, Hispanic guys, Mexican guys getting
Well,
shot by the police.
and that's the thing. There is actually like a good example. like we discussed before the George Floyd case, right? We both agreed that seems like a slam dunk. Now, if you and I don't know if you have, if have you ever seen the video of a guy named Tony Timpa?
No.
Exactly, right. And it's because it doesn't fit the narrative. Now, if you get a chance, and whoever's watching now, feel free, Google his name, Tony Timpa. He is a white male who died in almost mirror-like circumstances to George Floyd. The cop knelt on him, I think, for even a longer period of time, and these cops actually uh, were mocking him while they were doing it, because they knew him. He had some mental issues, and they mocked him the whole time. And he died. And I never heard of that case until the George Floyd case when somebody else pointed it out to me. So again, to me, it's almost like they pick and choose, what what to show us and get people riled up on. There was another video that I posted on not that long ago, and it was kind of similar to the one we talked about today with Jacob Floyd, where there's a guy wrestling with the cops. It looks like the cops have him under control. They tased him a couple of times, and that's the other thing too that we forgot to mention in the Jacob Floyd. Apparently, I mean Jacob Blake. He was tased twice before he got away, according to the police report. But anyway, the video I'm talking about, they tased the guy twice. Somehow he still squirms out of the way. He runs to the car, reaches in the car, pulls out a gun, shoots both cops. I don't know if the cops survived or not, but they did get hit pretty bad, and then he takes off. And again, like, those videos don't make it into our living rooms. It seems like they put the ones out there to get people riled up, and
Well, you would think in a age of defund police, the more police shootings they have out there, the better off, right, for their argument to defund us. Um, but
mhm,
I mean, if we go back, I mean, the problem isn't just that it's disproportionate. But if we go back, it's just this is just something that's just been going on since slavery's happened, and I don't know that there's a different it feels different. It seems different. When someone's been held down for so long, someone's been oppressed for so long.
mhm,
It's hard to come back with arguments that hey, well, it's happening to other people too.
mhm,
Okay, maybe it is, but like you said yourself, it's disproportionate. And so here's the thing, right? So I saw a video, right, and it made a ton of sense to me. It makes sense, and you're right. It goes back to mainstream media, right? A lot of it has to do with mainstream media. So if I said peanut butter, what would your thought be?
If you said peanut butter,
Yeah, if I said peanut butter, what
is
would
that
your
what you
thought
said?
be? Yeah.
Jelly.
Exactly. Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So if we make a sandwich and I'm saying I'm gonna put peanut butter, the automatic assumption is that you're gonna make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Right.
Yeah.
So through the mainstream media and through all the outlets, social media, all of that stuff, there's a natural connection between black men and violence. Right. It goes together
Hmm.
like peanut butter and jelly. So
Hmm.
if we're taught that, right, and that's something that we're seeing, and that's something that we're viewing every single day. Now, when a police officer, even an African American police officer, comes up on
Hmm.
another African American male, they're thinking black male violence, right? And it's
Hmm.
it's taught to us through the media, through social media, you name it, right? It's brought on to us. It's almost a marriage that they make to make us believe and think that. So we
Hmm.
form this bias about black males, and that's why
Hmm.
that's part of the reason why black males are being shot more disproportionately than others, right? It's because we have this association
Oh,
that
there's definitely a stereotype that has definitely been
absolutely
portrayed, and it's been for decades. you know,
movies, you name it, in the
uh,
movies, everything, yeah,
yeah. But what I think we're seeing now is the other way around. Now we're seeing the police being portrayed that way. You know what I mean? With the that they're all about violence, and I mean, if you go just recently, this whole cancel culture thing, I mean, they canceled Paw Patrol, a cartoon about police
Yeah, the dogs. Yeah.
cartoon animals. Yeah, because they felt that they were glorifying the police. You know what I mean? And you know, they shut down the TV show Cops. You know, it's just the whole thing is silly. I feel bad for people in that profession right now because I do think they're fairly being villainized, and the thing that gets me is because you know I have a bunch of cop stories. Matter of fact, I got one to tell you off the air. but but it seems like I'm defending them all the time, but I'm not. I just don't think they're rightly being accused of what they should be. You know, that, like I said, there's
Yeah.
instances where they're guilty, there's instances where they're not, and I wish people would look at every instance with their own set of facts, their own set of situations, own set of circumstances, because that's what they are. We need to get this mentality out of our head and of lumping everything into one. You know what I mean? Like, not all cops are bad, not all black people are bad, not all white people are bad.
Yeah. Not all Muslims are terrorists.
Yeah, we're all
Yeah.
individuals. We all have, you know, we all think of ourselves. God gave us free will, you know, so we're not photocopies of each other.
Yep. So I don't remember the exact number, but there's over 100,000 police officers in this country,
Hmm.
right? So you have that number. Unfortunately, like everything, there's going to be a bad in it. You know what I mean? There's bad doctors, there's bad mechanics, there's bad cops.
Yep.
And unfortunately, those guys label everybody. So everyone gets caught up in this label of being a bad cop. I believe that 99% of police
Hmm.
officers that come on duty look to come on to do their job professionally and to do it at their best. Um, there's a small percent that out there looking to do bad things and wrong things, and then there's a small percentage that make mistakes.
Hmm.
That make wrong judgment calls. We're human. We're not robots. We're not going to make the right decision 100% of the time. We're going to make mistakes. Like I said, our perception of things, the way we see things, hey,
Hmm.
we have to deal with it. We have to react to that. So we're going to make mistakes, and the thing on our part is when we do make those mistakes that we're own up to them. We're honest about them. You know what I mean? And we let everybody know, hey, yeah, this was wrong. This was a mistake. We're going to take care of it, and we're going to iron it out, and we're going to train better. We're going to do better. We're going to be better.
Hmm.
And not try to cover it up, not try to hide things
Yeah.
for the public.
And that's why the whole, in my opinion, the whole defund the police thing is nonsense. If anything, you might need some more funding for more proper training. You know.
Yeah, well, if you've been on the job long enough, so I've been a
Yeah.
trooper for 26 years now. Before that, I was in West Warwick for 2.5 years. So I've seen the pendulum swing. So when I first came on, it was all about police, money, money, money given, build out the police. Now
Hmm.
the pendulum swinging to the other side,
Yeah.
where now they want to take things away, so we just have to be professional in what we do. We have to, really show the community that we're there to serve them and to protect them and to be there to help them in whatever way they can. Of course, when things go wrong, when bad things happen, we have to respond and we have to deal with that stuff. That's part of it, and you can't get rid of the police. If you do, it'll be anarchy, in the
Hmm.
world, in this country. So you have to have the police. Defunding, they want to take some money away and say we don't want to give you a ton of money for these things. We want to have some other things going on. But what's going to end up happening is some people are going to do that, and then some bad things are going to happen, and they're going to realize that no, we need the police there, and it's going to swing back the other way.
Yeah, and I hope you're right because unfortunately, where the places that are, or I should say, the mayors who are demanding the defunding of the police are unfortunately in the communities that need it the most. Um, you know, and you don't need to defund the police in high crime areas, obviously, but I don't know. It is what it is. But Wes, thank you for coming on.
My pleasure.
Um, I still got to get you back on here with your other hat on, the football coach hat on, and and uh, and I look forward to our next Bible study. I
Yeah,
think Hector's up next. We're on Job. I think
yeah.
chapters 6 through 9. I don't put me on that, but anyway. But thanks for coming on, and
Thanks for having me.
not a problem. and let me mess around with this thing here. Bear with me.
God bless.
All right. See you, Wes. God bless.
See ya.
Well, folks, that was Wesley Pennington. Once again, I'd like to thank him for coming on and providing his unique perspective. And hope you enjoyed the show. I'll be back next Tuesday. Tuned. You can go to my Facebook page and also to SFBNRI Facebook page and see what's coming in next and what the show will be about. Again, thanks for joining us today. Hope you enjoyed the show, and God bless.